आज मैं बात करने वाला हूं एक बहुत ही सेंसिटिव टॉपिक के बारे में and I'm sure that everyone would have an opinion on it. Let me know in the comment section. Today what I'm going to talk about is about marriage. Is marriage a lie that has been sold to you? Is marriage for the modern man in these modern times when it comes to modern dating? Or is there a better path for the modern masculine man? Or if not, what should you actually do? If you're in your 20s or your 30s or even 40s and you're not married, this is the single most important video that you're going to watch on this channel. This will save you from a lot of heartache, from a lot of false cases, from a lot of domestic violence abuse, and it is going to help you understand the institution of marriage at a much deeper level. It's also going to help you navigate your own dating life to have an unfair advantage over 99% of the other men. If you're a guy who's looking for a suitable partner, it can be for a relationship or maybe just for companionship. In this masterclass, I'm going to break down the same frameworks that has gotten 10,000 people the results beyond their wildest imagination. So if you want a high quality partner, click the pinned comment and sign up right now. So today we're going to talk about why modern Indian men are questioning marriage, and should you. अगर तुम 20 से 40 साल के बीच में हो and you're looking for a long-term partner, you're looking to get married, this is going to be the most important video on this channel. क्योंकि इस video में I'm going to first cover, is marriage actually a lie? What is the lie that they've sold you? Secondly, we're going to talk about the origin of marriage, क्योंकि सच जानने के लिए तुम्हें ये भी समझना पड़ेगा, where did marriage actually originate from? And guess what? It's not romantic at all. Then I'm also going to cover why is it a trap for modern man, especially in these times of modern dating, and how you can mitigate your risk. Apart from that, we're also going to discuss the modern marriage contract, the lies you've been told and what it actually means. And finally, I'm going to give you an action path of what you can actually do if you're looking for that long-term partner and what should you actually focus on to mitigate your risks, to lower your risks in marriage. Now, सबसे पहले बात करते हैं, is marriage a lie? Now, I want you to think about this. If love is unconditional, why does it come with so many legal conditions when it comes to marriage? Now, there's certain lies that the society has sold you, and those lies we're going to uncover. The first one is, they told you that marriage is about love, loyalty, and happily ever after. And you believed. You believed that finding the right partner, settling down and building a future, she'll stay with you if you treat her right. But that's all wrong. That's not according to female psychology. Here's what they didn't tell you. Marriage is a legal contract, not a love story. It's actually a legal contract, and you are the one who's taking most of the risk. You are the one who has 80% of the risk when you're signing that contract with someone. But does that mean you shouldn't do it? Now, I personally believe, as a man, it's your responsibility to increase your risk-taking capacity so you can take this risk. But you need to be well informed, well aware, and you need to mitigate the risk जितना आप कर सकते हो. तो उसके लिए आपको समझना पड़ेगा the origin of marriage. Now let's go back 8,000 years ago, the tribal era. Now, a big problem in the tribal era was that men were not able to figure out who the children actually belonged to. So that's why marriage was introduced as a concept to control over women's sexuality and also ensure that the child is yours. So technically it was done to propertize paternity. Now what that meant was, once you're married with the person, you will have intimacy only with them, and that will ensure that the children is yours. Now as time passed and the tribal era evolved, the religion was introduced. Now there was a religious takeover on the social construct of marriage 2,000 and 3,000 years ago. Marriage became sacred. They made it sacred so that people believe in it more, and now it was controlled by the temples and the churches. Now you need God's approval for sex and children, and that's how they sort of control people's minds so that they don't have sex outside their marriage. Now as time passed, modern governments were introduced. Now modern governments introduced होने के बाद marriage became a legal framework for taxation, for custody and for inheritance. That's why marriage was important. Now you need the state's permission to actually leave the partner. If the marriage is not working, you need the permission of the government. Marriage was built to serve society and not your happiness. So we want to help you and make you a competent man, and that's why we're doing this masterclass next week. In this masterclass, we're going to break down the exact frameworks that are going to help you set dates, meet more women, and practice these skills that I'm talking about, these advanced dating skills. All you need to do is click the pinned comment, sign up with your full name, email address, and your phone number, and get results like this.
Yeah, before that meeting, my hinge matches were 0. I just exhausted that line, and guess what? Within like 20 hours, I got 13 matches. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Stories like what they did with this girl in college, and I just always think, how is this even possible? तुम लोग करते क्या हो यार, ऐसे कैसे? मतलब, and now I can see they do not. They want it. They couldn't resist. If they want it, you could go crazy, and it's so much fun, dude. Like,
so why is marriage a trap for the Indian modern man, and how can you navigate this scenario better? सबसे पहले you need to understand there's a big legal risk. Divorce laws actually favor women in India, and that's how it is. Now that means that you can lose your house, you can lose your kids, तुम alimony खो सकते हो. And I've seen a lot of cases like this. Even if she cheats on you, the court will order you to pay a huge amount of alimony. Now that is for the legal risk, and you see these reels coming over and over again of domestic violence, domestic abuse, women abusing their power, and that is the harsh reality that we live in. So you need to be very careful जब तुम अपना partner ढूंढ रहे होते हो. Also, there's a huge sexual risk because many men report sexless marriages, especially after 2 to 5 years. Now, this is a very funny story. I was actually at a house party and I had this married couple sitting right next to me. So I was just asking them, hey bro, when did you get married? He was like, it's been like 10 years and now we feel like we're brothers and sisters. We're just, we don't care about grooming ourselves. We don't really put in a lot of effort. And I was just talking to them more and more. And the more I spoke to them, the more I realized that the guy is in a sexless marriage. He was not happy. He was frustrated. And all of that just because he chose the most convenient partner. Because I asked him about his journey. तो उसका ये कहना था कि the first 2 people I met, I selected from there. And also the guy did not optimize his matrimonial profile. Optimization से मेरा मतलब है grooming नहीं थी वहाँ पे, fashion makeover नहीं था. And it was just a matrimonial profile which probably can get some interest, but it was not maximized. He should have done at least a photo shoot, the kind of photo shoots that we do for clients. Now, there was a client last week that I had and he wanted a matrimonial profile. So we created his profile and he was already on matrimonial apps. Before that, he said the interest increased at least 5 to 10 times. And that's what happens when you put a little bit of an effort. So that's what you need to do. So there's a legal risk, there's a sexual risk, and there's a psychological risk as well. You end up becoming the servant and not the leader. Now, this is for men जिनको लड़कियों से किस तरीके से बात करी जाए, how to build your frame, किस तरीके से आप respected हो सकते हो, how can you actually make the girl, how can you actually keep the girl interested in you even for a long-term relationship, or even how can you build that intimacy where she's actually attracted to you. People who don't know that, they're taking a big psychological risk, and that is what happens if you enter a marriage without any experience of talking to a girl or dating a girl, and sadly that is a lot of people out there. Then there's a biological truth. The biological truth is women select for dominance and not just for devotion. So no matter how devoted you are to your wife, तुम उसको सारा time दे रहे हो अपना, you are making her a priority in your life, that is not what is going to make her stick. You need to understand female psychology, and that is exactly what we teach on this channel. There's hundreds of videos on female psychology. You can check this out if you don't know much about female psychology, if you have had less experience with women especially. Because at the end of the day, love is conditional on your masculine edge. If you don't have your masculine edge, if you lose your masculine edge, love is going to go away as well. It's going to fade away. Now, what is a modern marriage contract? And I want to expose it for what it is, because there are some lies that you've been told, but there are some truths that you might skip or that you might omit, that you've not been told. So what you've been told is till death do us part. We are going to be forever. Now, till I'm not happy anymore, that's the truth. Because once the person loses their happiness, what happens is it goes bad and it goes in a downward spiral. Now, once you're going in a downward spiral, people are actually living separately from their partners. They're not going for divorce that much because of the social construct and the society's views against that and the dilemmas. In many marriages, they're not just happy and they're just separated. They're not even going for the divorce because of the amount it costs, but if the woman wants to mess you over, she can actually do that. But if there's a mutual understanding, that is also what happens in most cases. Now, you've been told love is forever, but love is technically performance based. If you think about it, you need to keep the girl interested, you need to keep the girl hooked, you need to keep the girl attracted, you need to have solid intimacy, because if you do not have that intimacy, love is going to go away. Now, you've been told that it's a 50-50 partnership, but when you marry someone, it's not a 50-50 partnership. It's an 80-20 partnership where you give 80%, she gives 20%. Now, knowing that, you have to be aware about that, so you don't expect a 50-50 partnership either. Now, you expecting a 50-50 partnership is also sort of wrong. Now, I was dating this one girl who told me that she married this guy who was using splitwise with his wife. Now, is that a thing that you should do? I don't think so. Because that means that you believe in that 50-50 partnership. It is in no way a 50-50 partnership. Because at the end of the day, if you don't lead that partnership, she is going to leave. She is going to lose interest. You're going to have a sexless marriage. Some of those things are going to happen if you don't lead the right way. So what should a modern man do? First of all, you should click the pinned comment, sign up for my free masterclass, because in this masterclass, I'm going to show you a lot of field-tested strategies which is going to help you understand about female psychology, give you a leverage, give you an edge over other men. The first thing that you should do is do not marry blind. A lot of people marry blind. What do I mean by marrying blind? Because it's an arranged marriage setup. You cannot break the ice over there. You cannot talk to the person, and because of that, you're over there in an awkward setting, and the decision is being pushed on you. Don't let the decision to be pushed on you. Instead, get to know the person, jano unko, baat karo unse, and then figure out if your values are aligned, not just vibes. I had this one client, he was 35 years old, and this guy is like, मेरे को शादी करनी है जल्दी क्योंकि dating pool shrink हो जाता है, as you said, and all of these things happen. So I want to get on a matrimonial app. I want to marry as soon as I can. And I was like, okay, how many people are you going to meet? He was like 5, 6 people, 7 people. But I told him, don't do that. Instead, meet 50 to 60 people and then figure out who you actually want to be with. Now, that guy was sort of exhausted from dating women. He was like, I'm completely exhausted. I don't need to put in effort. I don't want to put in effort. The effort doesn't come from within. But if you're living your life and you're being passive in your own life, the problem is going to happen that you have to bear the consequences. And that's exactly what I mentioned and told him. Dating does not have to be hard. You're making it hard because you're following inefficient processes. Second thing you should do is do not marry without leverage. What I mean mean by leverage? By leverage, I mean income, frame, prenup or don't play. Now, prenup is not valid in India specifically. So you can still have some smarter ways to go around this and actually create some sort of a prenup, but prenup is not valid in India. But you can create it in some smarter ways. If you want me to create a video on that, put it down in the comment section below. If I get enough comments, I will find smarter ways of creating that prenup. But technically, income and frame is very important, because if you don't have the income, then the marriage is anyways not going to survive. Income is completely subjective according to different social strata, depending on the person you're marrying, depending on their lifestyle. So generally, women want to marry above. So that's very important. So if you have good income, you have more options. Second thing is the frame. And 99% of the Indian men fail in sort of creating a frame because we have not been told or we have not been taught on how to socially carry ourselves. And because of that, you make the woman your prize, you make the woman the center of your world, you give her too much time, your value significantly drops. So you need to understand more about female psychology to build a very strong and a masculine frame that the woman actually respects, and that is very important. Now finally, the prenup. Now prenup happens in Western countries, does not happen in India. If you want me to create an in-depth, in-detail video just like this one on prenups, let me know in the comment section below. And learn her biology, that's also very important. Now you need to also understand female psychology and her biology, what turns her on, how the love fades away, how to keep her interested, how to be intimate with a woman is also very important. Love fades because of polarity, so you need to also have your edge. What that means is you cannot just be a yes man saying yes to all the demands of the girl and agreeing to each and everything, because polarity is what keeps her hooked. So if you're not polarizing even a little bit, if you're very predictable, if you're very safe, if you're very pleasing, what is going to happen? She's going to lose interest. You will be thinking, yaar, main to sab kuch sahi kar raha hu. That is what she wanted, that is what she said. But when she loses interest, you will be in a lot of problems. So you need to also analyze the interest level of the woman and how you can raise the interest level of the woman before actually getting married to her. And for that, I think dating is a good pathway to go, because you can learn a lot of skills while dating women, even if you're casually meeting people through a dating app or just going out and approaching people. Finally, be ready to walk. Be ready to walk alone sometimes as well. Because if you're too dependent on your partner, dependence is the enemy of desire. Remember that. If you're too dependent on your partner, har cheez ke liye, emotions ke liye, taking care of you, then what is going to happen is she's not going to look at you as a competent man. So you want your partner to always look at you as a competent man, because you don't want to seem incompetent. And having extreme dependence, that's just going to make you seem less competent. So we want to help you and make you a competent man, and that's why we're doing this masterclass next week. In this masterclass, we're going to break down the exact frameworks that are going to help you set dates, meet more women, and practice these skills that I'm talking about, these advanced dating skills. All you need to do is click the pinned comment, sign up with your full name, email address, and your phone number, and get results like this.